As the weeks went by, I noticed Jessica more and more. She never spoke in class, and when the teacher asked questions, she would never raise her hand. It was as if she was invisible to everyone but me. I found myself drawn to her, curious about who she was and why she seemed so isolated. I tried to talk to her during lunch, but she would always look away, her eyes fixed on the ground. One day, I decided to sit next to her. "Hey, I'm Sarah," I said, trying to break the ice. She glanced at me, her eyes wide and fearful, before quickly looking away. I felt a pang of sympathy for her. "Do you want to study together for the upcoming math test?" I asked, hoping to draw her out of her shell. She hesitated, then nodded slightly. We exchanged numbers, and I felt a flicker of hope that I could help her. But as the days turned into weeks, our study sessions never materialized. Every time I reached out, she would either ignore my messages or respond with one-word answers. It was frustrating, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then, one evening, I received a text from an unknown number. "Help me." It was a simple message, but it sent a shiver down my spine. I looked at the number, and it was Jessica's. My heart raced as I typed back, "What do you need help with?" There was no response. I waited for what felt like hours, but nothing came through. Just as I was about to put my phone down, another message popped up. "Meet me at the old school building after dark." I felt a mix of fear and curiosity. The old school building had been abandoned for years, a relic of the past that loomed over our town like a ghost. I knew I shouldn't go, but something compelled me. I had to know what was going on with Jessica. That night, I grabbed a flashlight and made my way to the old building. The moon hung low in the sky, casting eerie shadows on the ground. As I approached the entrance, I felt a chill in the air, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I hesitated, but the thought of Jessica alone in there pushed me forward. The door creaked open, and I stepped inside. The air was stale, and the floorboards groaned under my weight. I called out, "Jessica?" My voice echoed through the empty halls, but there was no response. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach as I ventured deeper into the building. I turned on my flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness. The walls were covered in peeling paint, and the remnants of old desks and chairs lay scattered around. I felt like I was walking through a graveyard of memories. "Jessica, are you here?" I called again, my voice trembling. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper. "Help me." It was her voice, but it sounded distant, almost as if it was coming from another room. I followed the sound, my heart pounding in my chest. I turned a corner and saw a flicker of movement out of the corner of my eye. I spun around, but there was nothing there. "Jessica?"
And I was haunted by the thought of what had happened to her. Days turned into weeks, and I couldn't get the incident out of my mind. I began to notice strange occurrences around school. Students whispering about Jessica, rumors swirling that she had vanished without a trace. I felt a growing sense of dread, as if the very walls of Crestwood High were closing in on me. One evening, I decided to return to the old school building, determined to find out the truth. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of purpose, I made my way back to the place where it all began. The moon hung high in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the abandoned structure. As I stepped inside, the familiar chill washed over me. I called out for Jessica, but the silence was deafening. I wandered through the halls, my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching me, and the whispers began again, echoing through the darkness. "Join us," they beckoned, a chorus of voices that sent shivers down my spine. I pressed on, determined to find her. I reached the room where I had found her before, but it was empty now. The air felt thick, and I could sense a presence lurking just beyond my vision. Suddenly, I heard a soft sobbing sound. I turned to see a figure in the corner, shrouded in shadows. "Jessica?" I called, my voice trembling. The figure looked up, and I was met with a face that was both familiar and terrifying. It was Jessica, but her eyes were hollow, devoid of the warmth they once held. "They won't let me go," she whispered, her voice echoing with despair. "And now they want you too." Before I could react, the shadows surged forward, enveloping me in darkness. I felt myself being pulled into the void, the whispers growing louder, drowning out my screams. I realized too late that I had become part of the very nightmare I had tried to escape. As the darkness consumed me, I understood the truth. Jessica was not just a victim, she was a vessel for something far more sinister. The unseen classmates, the ones who had been lost to the shadows, were now reaching out, drawing me into their world. I felt their cold fingers wrap around my mind, and I fought against the tide, but it was futile. In that moment, I was flooded with memories, fragments of lives that had been snuffed out, dreams that had turned to dust. I saw faces of students who had once walked the halls of Crestwood High, their laughter now silenced, their spirits trapped in this limbo. They were all around me, their eyes pleading for release, but their voices were drowned out by the cacophony of despair. "Join us," they whispered again, their voices a haunting melody that echoed in my ears. "You can't escape. You belong here now." I felt my resolve weakening as the shadows tightened their grip. I was losing myself, my identity slipping away like sand through my fingers. I thought of my friends, my family, the life I had.